Hey, this is Morris Washington from MTC Media. It is NBA Draft Day, and this is something to keep in mind before you start screaming and yelling at every pick and who's dumb and who's smart and who's won the draft, who didn't win the draft. Let me bring up a few things that you need to keep in mind. First and foremost, we are going into a new collective bargaining agreement. Recently, in an article in The Athletic, Malone from the Denver Nuggets was quoted as the saying, "We built the Nuggets in such a way under the last CBA." This CBA has dramatic differences to it. So, to Malone's point, what worked under that CBA as far as roster building is going to be drastically changed, because in the last CBA it was not as restrictive. Yes, you had the luxury tax, but you didn't have the aprons 1 and 2, and then the ramifications from aprons 1 and 2. So that means that roster moves will be based on so many different things. Does the NBA governor or governors of your particular organization, do they mind paying the tax umpteen years in a row? Do they mind going to the first apron? Do they want to be hard cap? Will they go into the second apron and all the restrictions that go into that separate apron? That's going to impact every roster move made. So you just can't make in the NBA into barbershop talk, which is, oh, why did they let that guy go? Oh man, they're stupid, they're dumb. It's not going to be that simple to take a look at that. Secondly, what I've brought up now for 2 going on 3 years, most first rounders, nevertheless the second rounders, are going to have some sort of stint in the G League. So when they go down to the G League, don't be screaming and yelling, oh, they should have stayed in school, they should have did this, they should have did that. That's not what the G League is. The G League is, instead of having my rookie sit at the end of the bench or get inconsistent minutes, I can have him learn against other professionals with professional rules. I'll say it again, against other professionals with professional rules, and give them major minutes. Maybe because they need that playing time and not just sit. Maybe because they have been playing a combo guard position in college, and I want them to learn how to be a full-time point guard. There could be many reasons for that. It's not simply, oh, well, they should have stayed in school, because I know that's going to come. And they could have stayed in school for 4 years and still ended up in the G League. Remember, a lot of people stayed in school not because they were afraid of G League. They stayed in school because of how the NIL was structured in our current state. It was just more financially lucrative to stay in school. Let's not get that twisted. They didn't necessarily stay in school because they thought that was going to make them a higher draft pick. It paid better. Armando Bacot, he played in the NBA, is going to start out in G. Whether he stayed at Carolina for 3 years, whether he stayed at Carolina for 6. The difference is that by staying at Carolina for 6, he has a lot of money in his pocket. Let's not get it twisted. Okay, so we talked about the new CBA. We talk about the G League. Now let's get to the second round, because the only reason I'm bringing this up is because the Bronny James. Bronny James being chosen at 55 does not mean, oh my God, the world is ending. We and people conveniently ignore this. This sort of stuff has been done for years. There was always the draft and stash. I would draft someone overseas knowing that probably they were never going to come over. And even if they did come over, it was going to be, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, if that. Some people were drafted with the intent of coming over. Some people were drafted as not. You just made the pick. And all of that was made for financial considerations. Maybe I like the team the way I have it now. I'm not trying to add salary. So I'll just put this guy over here and just stash him. And if it works out, fine. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. No one cares. When you start getting at 55, now Aaron Wiggins, I looked at the last 5 players taken at 55. Aaron Wiggins, who did start off in G, he's the only one that you can argue is going to be a rotation player or did some rotation minutes to and fro during the season. Everybody else, no. Not at all. So taking 55, the only reason anyone thinks it's a big deal if it's Bronny James is because it's Bronny James. No one cares what the translation is going to be, because whoever is taking it 55, they're going to start in G anyway, and they're going to have to prove out of G, probably on a two-way, that they can make it to the NBA or make it to that roster. No different than any other player, whether it's Bronny James or someone that you feel like is more decorated on a college level. With Bronny James, I'll say the same thing that I say about Ryan Dunn, who's probably going to go in the first round. It is about translatable skill to the NBA. It's not about what they averaged in college. I'll repeat this for the people in the back. It's about transferable skill to the NBA. It's not about the numbers in college. So the idea that you're taking Bronny James at 55 means that you can't be taken serious. It's got to be one of the stupidest things that I've ever heard. Because that has nothing to do with whether they think his skill set is transferable for a 55th pick. So those are the things that you should keep in mind when we go for the draft tonight. This is Mark Swartz for MTC Media.